Indiethon 2022. We are a tri-annual charity event showcasing all types of indie games. We are bringing you speedruns of games you may not have heard of before to help puppies behind bars train incarcerated individuals to raise service dogs for wounded war veterans and first responders. To keep up to date, follow us on Twitter or join our Discord server. But now we have Flynn, Son of Crimson by Song of Soil. Over to you.
Hello everybody. My name is Song. Today I'm going to be showcasing Flynn, Son of Crimson. Oh my god, look at me say my name. This is a 2D indie adventure action platformer developed by the team Thunderhorse. Today I'm going to be here with fellow runner and my commentator Wavuvi. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Wavuvi. I just started running this game, and it takes me 50% longer than Song to finish the same run right now.
So before I get this run started, I kind of want to explain the movement in this game, as we're going to be doing a lot of things at the beginning. So the movement kind of works. If you ever played Mega Man X, instead of sliding, we have rolls, and we kind of do the same thing where they do like a lot of slide jumping. We'll do a lot of roll jumping to get around. We also have wall jumping that we'll be manipulating and uppercut skipping, which we'll kind of explain more when we get there. But I want to get that out of the way so when I start the run, we can explain certain other things. All right, so in actually, let me get to the screen. All right, so run starts in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so first off, I'm going to be holding my magic down, as you see. I will always keep that charged, as it'll always help me prepare for any kind of pitfalls, or if I need to do any kind of sudden stops. It's also nice that every time you attack or use magic in the air, Flynn will actually get a point where he pauses in the air, so you can actually adjust your movement on the fly. And coming up in a second, I will actually be manipulating New Game Plus's thing about regenerating energy at the beginning of the game. We're going to be using the downward special attack to actually skip this screen so we can actually leave our dog behind. I know that sounds really cruel, but it's much faster to leave him behind, and he always comes back. We'll be doing this twice in a row.
Doing things like hitting switches, as you saw, causes a cutscene, so waiting for Dex to catch up is slow when you want to go fast. But thanks to that movement, by doing that down attack, and it uses a bar of his Crimson, it lets him pass through the invisible wall that makes you wait for Dex to catch up, and you just go on to the next thing because you hit the trigger.
And right here, we're just collecting Grandpappy's hat. For some reason, he can't climb that ladder, so he sends us up there. We have to grab his hat to open up this door because he has a key for us, conveniently. So right here, this is where we'll be leaving Dex behind. We will not really be seeing Dex till about halfway through the game. We're going to leave him at this tree, and then we'll see him in the next level, but that'll be the last time we see him for about the next 35 minutes. If you want to explain box skip real quick.
Box skip? For the cutscene skip?
No, coming up right here, this box that I jump off of, if you want to explain how we manipulate air movements.
Right, this game has very generous coyote time, as you just saw. It's very similar to Donkey Kong Country, where if you roll off the edge, it really extends your coyote time while you're rolling, unless you get an air jump, as you saw Song do, and he will use that several times over the run.
Also, now, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to talk about the weapons since this is a good spot for it. Since this is New Game Plus, you start with all 4 magics, which is his standard Crimson. You have Ice, Fire, and Lightning that are picked up through the game normally. And then your 3 weapons, you start with the sword, then you get the axe, and then the claws. There's also a wall jump that you pick up probably about half to 2/3 through the game on a casual playthrough. By starting with all of those, it gives you a lot of movement options that you'll see over the course of the run. This is cutscene skip.
I messed it up.
He's touching an invisible barrier and sliding down it and then doing a jump, which lets him get a pause in to skip to menu.
It's okay. I messed it up, though.
Unfortunately, he missed it. It's only a small time loss when this happens because you can skip it, as you saw right there.
So what my usual technique is when I roll up to that cutscene, I will usually attack in the air as it stops you exactly on that spot. And then I will do a long jump into the cutscene and pause on the frame I enter the cutscene, so I can quit back to map and then re-enter it, and I won't have to go through it, which saves me about 5 seconds. But because I messed up and had to go back and redo it, I lost about 10 seconds right there, which is okay. I'm not too worried about it. So right here, this is going to be our main antagonist in the game. We will fight her 3 different times. You can actually manipulate her movement in this fight by walking forward 2 steps, then walking forward 1 step. It allows you to get 2 close range attacks and 1 long range attack from her, which is the fastest that you can get. And the same right here, I'm going to do a long jump, and she's going to jump with me. So it allows me to get an instant stun on her so I can finish the fight quickly. So she's very manipulatable when it comes to her movements.
To backtrack just for a second while this cutscene's playing out, he activated his Crimson power. You can do that with when you have a full bar, and that's what let him do that red rolling motion where Flynn looked like he was going feral. And that is the fastest movement option in the game, but you can't take too much advantage of it because you do need a full bar, and certain other movements techniques require using a single bar out of the entire thing to do it. So the big one is when you use the claws, you can do an uppercut, and there's a movement glitch we call the clonch, where it pops you higher in the air, and there's a frame-perfect version of that called the super clonch, which hopefully Song will get a couple of them over the run. He's pretty solid at it. And that absolutely flings you and lets you get a few very big skips in a couple levels that have the verticality that you can get into places you're not supposed to.
Which is actually really fun to pull off. Sadly, I am one of the only people in the community that can pull it off. So it does make racing and other competitives a little different just because it is very hard to do. But eventually we will get other people being able to do the super launches. We actually found 2 new uses for them recently that do save time, which hopefully I will get off today. Coming up right here, we actually have a puzzle that we're going to be doing. I like to call the button puzzles. We're going to be doing a skip thanks that we have wall jump. We can actually do that. And then right here, we can kind of roll off. Hopefully I grab onto the ledge. I don't think I got enough distance, but I got the wall jump, so I saved myself right there. That was good. There's actually
Falling in water in this game tends to suck you down.
Yeah, there's actually a move that I used to do, and it's water skipping. You can actually hit up on the frame you touch water, and instead of sinking in the water, you will stay on the top layer of it. So you can do more jumps, and if you can time a bunch of them, you can just skip across the water without actually diving down. It is incredibly hard, though. If you want to explain item hopping.
Yeah, item hopping, actually pretty easy. You jump, you throw the item, and you can just mash jump, and if it goes well, you get an air jump that you're not supposed to get. That's probably the main use of it right there. There's another spot, I'm not sure if Song's going to go for it much later, where you can get out of bounds on the map and go over the collision. It's really cool if it works. I've tried it a few times and it's hit or miss, but I think he's gotten it down pretty well for the most part. This is important. You can kill those guys faster using the claws, but he opted to use the sword because it gives the best crimson generation per hit. You see his bar is almost full. He'd be short an entire block of that bar if he had used the claws instead.
And we actually need this to be full for this area right here. I wouldn't say it's a need, but it definitely helps to have this, because once again, this is the fastest movement method that we can use. So it lets me get up here a lot quicker. And also, if we activate Crimson and transition into a new area while it's active, any bars you had left over during the transition will actually stay in your bar. So if you're quick enough, you can save a lot of your Crimson if you can get to the next transition. We also have another thing called Crimson Cancel, if you actually want to explain that.
I'm actually not familiar with that term. Is that when you stop it early?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, then that's simple then. You can press the same way you activate it and turn your Crimson off, and you get a portion of it back. So if you like stop it before you've used up 3 bars, you stop at 3 bars. So you keep half of your crimson.
Also, if you just
his
saw
little-
that fight, I just left it early. You can actually leave fights early after you kill an enemy, allowing you to skip the level. And this part, I'm going to have you explain this entire level, as I will be focused on trying not to lose.
Yeah, this is probably the most difficult level to do consistently. There are 2 spots. You can save a good chunk of time doing super claunches, which is the previously mentioned frame perfect trick. This is just a regular
That was really bad.
uppercut. That's just up an attack with the claw. It uses a bar of crimson, but it does get you a little bit more height compared to a jump. This is going to be his first attempt at a super claunch. He should have just enough bar to give it a try.
And we got it. Oh no! Oh god, that was so bad.
Oh, that was bad luck there. Oh, he redid it. Nice.
Oh
I was
my gosh.
expecting him to just go for the kill. So good recovery.
So technically I wasn't supposed to go behind that wall. I'm supposed to jump up to that ladder. I guess I just positioned myself wrong and flew behind that wall. That's definitely not where you're supposed to go. You can actually clip through that wall in transition, but because I wasn't expecting it, I didn't mash my buttons fast enough. I expected to fly towards the ladder, so that was my bad. This is the second super claunch that we're going to do. And we got it.
Yeah, if you do, you can get up there with a regular claunch, but it only gets you as high as that rope that you can see at the very left of the cutscene. So you have to go over to the right, up the ladder, and then back to the left, and it's like a 15-second time loss compared to getting the super claunch.
Yeah, you just skip all of that area. You just fly. Just goodbye. All done. So
And
this is the main hub of the world. We will be coming back here quite a bit. In New Game, this is where you would come to upgrade your skills and all of that. But once again, as he explained earlier, that we already have everything unlocked, we're just going to unlock both paths in the world and then move on from Sanctuary and only come back to save our dog. And that's about it.
if you recall from the cutscene towards the beginning, Dex got depowered. Dex is the guardian of the island. And the big goal we're going for here is we need to defeat the 4 bosses to get Dex's power back to access the final boss fight. There is some potential, if anybody is an avid glitch hunter, to completely skip all 4 boss fights, because the trigger to transition to the final area of the game is way out in the sky with an invisible wall in front of it, but it doesn't completely span the open space. Flynn just unfortunately does not have the aerial movement to clear that barrier in the normal game. Like if you gave him infinite jumps somehow, he would be able to just hop over there and skip like 90% of the game. But we haven't found a way to do that yet.
Yeah, it would be
so for now we
good.
Yeah, it would be its own category. It would be so fast compared to the run we're doing now. What do you think it would be like?
32
What are we at
minutes.
for time? 32 minutes? Oh, okay.
It would cut the run
Yeah.
in half. So that level right there that you just saw, that's actually based on the Lost Woods and Ocarina of Time. If you head the wrong path, it'll send you back to the beginning of the maze. Kind of like if you were to, once again, go into the Lost Woods and Ocarina of Time. If you take the wrong path, it just sends you back to the beginning. They took a lot of inspiration from a lot of games. And I absolutely love that little thing in there. So right here in this level, we're going to see something that you won't see anywhere else in the game. But if you were to play New Game, you would see about 7 of these levels. They're called Corrupted levels. They're really cool, but they took them out in New Game Plus. I'm not 100% why they took them out in New Game Plus. But yeah, this is the only one that remains. And I absolutely love the aesthetic of these places. It goes from the really bright and beautiful world of Flynn to this dark, gloomy, dystopian world.
I'm just going to backtrack real quick. What he's doing in a couple of these levels, like the town, and then the level that he just did the corrupted level in, before that he took a different path. He's unlocking the alternate map routes that he'll need to take later.
Oh yeah, I forgot to explain that. Thank you so much for backtracking to that. So you'll actually see me equip fire often, and it's just kind of random if you're not knowing what's going on. What it does is it does damage over time, which allows me to kill enemies faster. And like right there, I was able to already go down to this door while he burned alive, letting me get the key and already be down here. So it's just much quicker.
You'll also notice a lot of damage boosting going on in this game. HP is more of a resource to go fast than a genuine concern for death. With the exception of lightning-coated enemies, pretty much anything in here has to actually attack you to do damage to you, which is really nice about this game. It's a big breath of fresh air compared to the typical platformer where just touching something hurts you and throws you back.
Okay,
Once
so
again,
right
he's
here, if
using
you
the
want to
sword to
explain
build
perfect
Crimson.
puzzle, because I'm not focused, but the
Yeah.
puzzle in this room.
So this is a cycle room. If he does this right, he will hit all the switches and not get hampered by the platforms.
Which I did.
So that was pretty
perfect.
solid. Yeah. Very little downtime in that room with the brief time he needed that extra height riding that one platform. So that was an excellent puzzle room. Having done that casually and trying it in the speedrun, it's very easy to get off cycle and get stuck waiting for the platform to get out of your way.
Wait, is there a little time for me to butt in?
Yeah, go ahead. You can, anytime that you would like, you can just go right on ahead.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, we can
In
always
that case-
backtrack.
Well, hello everybody. I'm back. I'm back. You thought you could escape me? No, never.
Hello,
you could
buds.
never escape me. I got my hot chocolate. I'm ready for more.
I'm really happy to see you here.
Of course, and I'm happy to be here. My name is BunniestBunReenah, and I'm going to be your host in the wee hours of the night. Today I'm here to shill to you some of the donation incentives we have on offer. Right now, the prime one that I would recommend the most right now is the Binding of Isaac Repentance Bid War, which is coming up next run. How exciting is that? Right now, it's between Season 1 and Season 2 of the characters, so if you want to see a specific character that you like, then, by all means, go into the bid war. Right now, Season 1 is winning by a decent margin, so Season 2 is going to have to do some catching up here, but I believe in the Season 2ers out there. I know you're out there. I see you. And along with that, if that isn't enough money to give out, we do, of course, have cutscene percent for Mort the Chicken, which I will not stop recommending. You can't make it.
All right, I'm really happy to hear about those incentives too. I'm excited to see the runs. Good luck to all future runners and everybody who's already ran. Good job, seriously. That's super awesome. Thank you all for supporting such a great cause. And thank you, Buns, for being here.
Of course.
So you just saw right there, before we backtrack and kind of explain some things that's already happened, you actually have to pick up this boulder and hit these platforms, but you can actually skip some of the platforming by using your axe to throw the boulder a lot further than usual, so it does save you some time. Wav, if you want to go back through and kind of explain some of it, if you have anything to add into this, otherwise we can just kind of go forward from here.
Yeah, I'll throw a couple things out about the boulders. One of the things he did for one of them, he hit the boulder and it bounced off a goblin's head and then went the other way. The timing on that is actually stricter than you'd think, and it does save quite a bit of time to ricochet it like that, so that's a really cool trick shot. And kind of the same thing with what he did with the axe, where he dropped the boulder and then kind of golf clubbed it across the pit, and that does save quite a bit of time too, because you're not carrying it on the little walking icicle that fell down. And one other thing to note, you have to wait for doors to open. We don't have a way to just phase through them while they're going through their animation, but in a lot of cases that's your chance to heal, as you saw him do when he got the gold key a couple rooms back, which allowed him to continue these damage boosts to go through these rooms. And he's living a little dangerously, but he's done this so much, he knows where the threats are in the ice level.
Yeah. Yeah, this level used to be a huge cause, but there's only one, which I just passed, Spike, that actually can harm your run. But if you just dodge roll through it, that's it. That's the only danger in this whole room.
Yeah, it's all consistent through here.
That looks
I'm gonna
dangerous,
talk-
but that spike has no way of hitting you. The hitbox is actually only on the center block.
I'm going to mention something about movement I don't think we covered yet, just in case. So he did mention at the very beginning, it's kind of like Mega Man X, where Flynn rolls where Mega Man X dashes. Sorry, it's early for me. I lost my train of thought sometimes. So if you do it right, you get your maximum distance on the roll, and then jump, and that momentum you get from rolling carries over to the jump, and by the time you land, the cooldown on your dodge has reset. But you can do the dodge mid-air, so every once in a while you might see him do a jump and then air dodge, which gives him a really high arcing jump. That's a decent alternative depending on the terrain, and in a few cases combines well with using the magic to stall yourself in the air. What it does is it stops you from falling, but you maintain your horizontal speed, and that can cover slightly larger gaps, and does make a pretty big difference on a couple jumps. Like there was a jump in a previous ice level where it was a really long chasm, almost a full screen length, and he did that jump and then shot his magic when he was near the edge, and that gave him just that little bit of extra height to clear the jump, where normally just the momentum from rolling and then jumping doesn't carry over. It wouldn't have been enough to clear that gap.
Also, can you explain emblems? I've been picking them up, but I forgot to add that in there on what the emblems do for us. Those little red floating emblems.
Oh yeah, those fill up the crimson bar, which, as you've seen, is a big part of movement, especially in long, flat sections where you want to be able to do that roll. Do they refill too? Yeah, they refill too. Just watched it happen. So there's a couple spots where routing those is worth it, just to build up the crimson to go faster. There's one mission in particular, I believe you want to take a small detour to the left, just because getting those 2 bars of crimson to be able to do the Crimson Rage mode saves quite a bit of time, because it's a long stretch to the right afterwards, and it is much faster than just doing normal roll jumps.
Also, if you want to explain ice real quick while I'm in here.
The freezing water mechanic? Yeah. Oh yeah, as you see when he's in the water, his screen slowly turns blue, and if you're in there too long, you do freeze. So movement through there is tricky on that. It's like falling in a pit. It resets you back to your last point of land.
Yeah, so it's a huge time loss if you end up getting frozen. You turn into a block, which has its own animation, which takes a while to go through, and then you respawn, and then you're back at the last checkpoint, which does waste a lot of time. And right here, we're actually going to our first boss. So in every boss fight, they're going to look intimidating, but because we have everything unlocked and we have the gloves, I'm going to be doing a technique where I can just hover in the air and I can just punch them to death. Like, it's going to be every boss fight where I just hover in their face and I just murk them. These poor bosses. That was almost a one phase. I don't think I've ever gotten a one phase Bora, but that was really close. That's beautiful. Okay, that was a really beautiful fight.
Yeah, that went really well. That boss, once he gets going up on that wall, he can troll you and waste a lot of time if you don't burn him down fast enough, because he starts leaping back and forth between the walls, then he'll go off screen, then he'll drop down again, and then jump across the level, and he's all over the place. It's super frustrating to chase him around.
So welcome to Purple Walls. You will now see these in every level going forward almost. Quite a few levels actually, not every, but quite a few levels. They are another just hazard that gets in your way. I mean, a blockade. Your axe is the only thing that can break through them, but there is some of them that we can actually clip through. There's a couple in this level. Obviously not this one, as I'm breaking it right now.
So getting into this level, this is right here. He's abusing the wall jump to get up into these areas. The way this is supposed to be played is there's this and at least one other screen where you raise the water levels so you can get around. But in this case, you just bypass almost all of the puzzle by being able to do the wall jump. And in particular there, between magic extending your jump a little bit and the jump and then dodge for the somersault, he's able to get up that big gap, where normally, again, if you didn't do the magic extend, you wouldn't quite make it up the wall. You'd lose height more than you'd gain at each jump.
Ooh, okay, so if you have any incentives, any donations, anything you want to list off, this would be the perfect time, as this is our first out of 3 auto-scrollers. So, you have all the time to talk, Buns.
Wow, looks like you're having so much fun going at the speed that the level wants you to.
I actually
Of
love
course.
these parts. My hands hurt for after a while, so...
That is very fair. It did look like you were absolutely schmoving and stomping for quite a while there. Unfortunately, we do not have any donations right now, but it could take any one of you to immediately change that and change my tune. And while you're at it, if you want to donate to any of our incentives, you can also get put in the running for one of our fabulous prizes. Our big, super ultra mega prize is the Team 17 Mega Games Pack for $30. That's quite a bit, but does put you in the running for quite the Mega Games Pack, dare I say. You can also grab some Indiethon merch, potentially, by putting around $20 in. That'll put you in the running for just about all of them. And of course, there's plenty of $10 and $5 donation incentives to get you going, and some things to get you in the running there as well. So don't think you're getting left out if you're only donating a small amount. Every dollar does help.
Wavuvi, if you want to cover what just happened while I focus on finishing this up. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I just clipped through 2 purple things, and I just did the crab skip too.
So the crab skip, normally what you do is you uppercut him the first time, and then do a regular claunch, which is you jump, you do an air attack to stall your momentum, and then you land while doing a second aerial attack. And at that point, you can buffer an uppercut, and it'll do the uppercut, but it'll give you the extra height. It's only about 2/3 the height the super claunch does. So by doing the super claunch, you shoot straight up into the loading zone off that crab and skip a step.
Yeah, and also because of the super claunch or claunching off that wall, when you transition, if you do a wall jump, actually not a wall jump, but a long jump, you can actually skip directly through that purple barrier as you saw. So once again, you won't need to use the axe. And then with that second purple barrier right after, if you line up with the piece of grass right in front of the door and then do a long jump, you go straight through that door as well.
And from what I've been told, as someone learning the run, the trick to phasing through the purple barriers that you usually smash with the axe is jump at them and hope.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just jump and hope. So this level right here is voted the worst level, as in difficulty-wise, through the whole community, because of these electric enemies that will just torment you because you can't touch them, just like that, just to kind of showcase what they do. If you touch them, it bounces you back. You lose quite a bit of time, and they also just love to follow you. They will harass you the whole level.
Now, these enemies with the extra aura, they regenerate, so that's why the bomb is a big help there. As you see, it took him a little bit longer to claw through it normally. Having the claws does help, though, compared to the sword. You wouldn't normally have the claws here in a casual playthrough.
You don't get the claws till after the 3rd boss. Actually, 2nd boss. My bad. 2nd boss. You get wall jumping.
So those enemies with the electric barrier, as you saw, getting near them or hitting them, knocks Flynn back. It doesn't actually hurt him if you run into them, but you do get the hit stun. So you have to hit them with electricity to remove their shield. Kind of a weird thing for games. You'd think it would be some sort of like Pokemon-style thing where like lightning beats fire is kind of a common one in JRPGs, but in this case you have to use lightning to be lightning.
So
that
right
was
here,
worth talking. Oh.
Sorry, is an incredibly hard skip, and I just messed it up. But I do want to showcase it, so we're going to use a little B. I am wasting time, but we're going to use a little B to showcase it. There we go. So if kind of like the old school Mario games, if you can super claunch off of one of those Bs, you can actually go up here and just skip through this entire area, and you can drop through by pressing forward and back, and it'll actually put you into the next area. It's completely skipping and bypassing a bunch of walls, traps, and all of that. Sorry.
I think getting it in a second try still saved time compared to going through the level normally there, actually.
What?
I think what you did there with the super clunch still saved time, even though you had to go for it a second time.
It's incredible. I'm pretty sure it probably did. That was actually founded by one of our members, Hollow, by going through the files using an Undertale tool. So anybody who plays Undertale, that game's development tools or whatever we've been using has actually helped this game tremendously.
Oh, you mind if I butt him one more time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. We do have a $20 donation from Steve TV Online.
Dude, Steve
With a
TV, I
comment.
love you. Sorry.
Oh, I see we got some camaraderie here. He says, "Hi, Song." That's all I want to say. Hi, Song.
He's doing Rain on Your Parade. Please watch his run today. He is such an amazing streamer. I really appreciate that, man. He actually is the one that named this fish. So this fish didn't have a name in this game for the longest time. And Steve TV was actually going to learn this run. Well, while he was learning the run, he asked me personally, he goes, "Hey, is there a name for the fish?" And I said no. So he said he wanted to name the fish Franklin. And so now the fish is Franklin. And so thank you, Steve TV. You are amazing for giving the name Franklin to the fish.
Of course, I will thank you as well, and I will say hello to Franklin.
He is my favorite part of this entire game. He's just so adorable. He reminds me of a derpy flounder from My Little Mermaid. So, or whatever it is. Yeah, I just absolutely love it.
My Little Mermaid, I used to wonder what humans could be.
I didn't even say My Little Mermaid. That was my bad.
Hey, that was great. I love it.
Well, you've been playing My Little Pony, so that little game that you were putting on your stream, so that's been stuck in my head. Someone got like a 15-minute time on that game. It's incredible.
Wow.
Oh, what am I doing? I'm panicking. So right here, guys, is a puzzle that you need to have ice equipped, but I got too busy caught up talking about Franklin, the beautiful fish. You're supposed to switch to ice while swimming, so when you get to this part, you can just push these blocks around. But I still had lightning equipped, so I just tried to do the toaster in the bathtub technique. Not a good idea, but here we go. We are back on track.
It's okay, I'd get distracted talking about Franklin as well. And is My Little Pony a hot speed game? I'm taking notes.
It's
I'm
up
not
there
sure.
right now.
I played it on my stream because somebody donated it to me to play it. So I was like, okay, you gave me the game, so let's go. It was simple but fun. Very short, unfortunately. That's the only major criticism I had.
Also, happy by 3, you are 100% correct. That was perfect timing for him to do a donation right as I'm going into Franklin. That was incredible. So this is the last part that we'll actually see Franklin. This is all time-based and on a rotation. My goal here is to get Franklin to give me a bubble after that area, so I can skip these fish, and then I should have 3 damage left, which I do. What that's going to help me do is I'm going to just damage boost through here. Just take it. I'm going to come through this area, and then I'm going to damage boost to these guys. And I should have 1 health left, and we just got through there without needing to stop and not needing to grab any air bubbles except 1. That saves an incredible amount of time. I could heal right here, but I technically don't need to, so I'm just going to stay non-healed until the very end of this level. This is actually a Rosia fight, which sounds crazy that I'm not going to heal. But as you can see, I have Crimson up right now, so she can't do anything when you hit her with Crimson. She just gets stun locked the entire time, so I have no risk of dying.
Yeah, Rosia is introduced as your rival, but you face her in the shrine at the very beginning, and it's more of a scripted fight. She beats you, then you beat her. And then from then on, it's even in the normal playthrough, she gives you access to your Crimson control the first time you fight her in the snow. And this boss is free when you have the claws, as you see. His whole big thing is he makes everything electric like that, but you don't have to touch the ground. So don't blink, the fight's almost over.
It's over.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, I missed it. What happened?
So, technically in the beginning of the fight, you're supposed to cross the water to go over to his orb, but as you can see at the beginning, I did a water skip. I did a long jump into a water skip into a long jump, allowing me to instantly grab the orb, get launched back, and start the fight immediately, saving about a good 5 seconds of crossing the water and then having to jump up and doing it like how you normally would. And then during that fight, if you time the first platform, you can jump immediately on him and start hitting him before he can do anything, which does incredible amounts of damage. And then if you want to explain what's going on right now while I get prepared to do the third part of the game.
Alright, so each time you beat a boss, there's an option on the map screen. You press Y to return back to the town. This section he's headed towards right now is blocked by needing to call Dex, and you get to ride her for a couple sections of the game. But Dex is required because there are these blocks of crimson that only Dex can pass through, and also the ground is littered with thorns that Dex can walk on safely while you're riding her. But that's less of a concern when you're going fast. Oh, there's another item jump there. So what you need to do in that case is have 2 orbs. The first one revives Dex enough that she gets moved to the town, and then you need a second one to be able to call Dex in this upcoming area when Song gets to it. Now, when you're doing this in hero mode, because it's New Game Plus, you can actually access 3 of the bosses by the time you get to the town. One of them is the second to last boss. You could actually go there first, which is what I do on my runs. I like to go do the hardest area first and then work my way backwards. Song actually does it in intended game order. I don't think there's really a big difference right now, with the exception of Crimson routing. So it's if you're going to learn this game, that's something to consider what's going to be comfortable for you.
Yeah, we have one runner that takes the second world first. He takes the third world first. I take the first world first. So it just depends on which way you want to go, which kind of makes it a Metroidvania in a way. This game used to just be really linear, but because of the patch, hero mode, there's now branching paths. The only reason why Crimson routing is the way it is on the main path is because I spent many hours routing it, but I don't take any other paths, so I haven't had the time to route any other Crimson paths. So right
he does
here,
have the world record, so we can't argue with that.
So right here, this is where you would actually unlock your Crimson powers in New Game, but once again, because we're on New Game Plus, we didn't need to come here till now. But it's nice because it offers those 2 emblems, which allows me to have Crimson roll at this area, which we don't need to be going through anyways. So, alright, and here is where Dex appears. So once again, these are the levels where you'll ride Dex. As I said before, Dex doesn't appear until the game about halfway through. So as you can tell, we're about halfway through the game now. And the levels are very short where you do ride Dex.
There's a couple variety of these knights. The first one you encounter is Sword. He's pretty easy to deal with. The hammer ones, in my opinion, are the absolute worst because they have a massive hitbox, and despite wielding a big hammer, their attack pattern is quite fast. You'll see that when we get to Arena Skip. We'll talk about it when he gets there. You have to claunch off a hammer knight, and if you get your timing off on that, he will interrupt you every time you try to do it.
Oh, it is absolutely awful, and there's also a bug next to him that's trying to chomp you in half too. But once we get there, we'll explain more of that. Okay, so that's all of Dex for right now, and we are moving into the second to final world. This is the desert area. This is going to have a lot of mechanics and actually has one of the most broken levels that we have inside the run, which comes up in about 2 levels. This one right here has our second auto-scroller. So once again, if you have any donations to talk about or any kind of incentives you want to talk about again, you can do that here. Otherwise, I will kind of go into detail about how I got into running, if that's okay, Buns. It's up to you.
Quickly go over one of the incentives. Of course, because Binding of Isaac Repentance is coming up, I will have to plug it over and over again to make sure we really get some competition over on that bid war. Go ahead and throw your money at it, at it. you can get entered into some fabulous prizes. But I won't take up too much of your time. Tell us about how you got into the run.
Dong,
So
let me jump in real quick.
Okay.
What you saw him do that item toss a couple screens back and go out of bounds. That is an interesting area to talk about because if you look at the collision for the map, you shouldn't be able to do that, but somehow Flynn is able to grab onto a piece of it, clip through the collision, and then once you're out there, you have to do very specific movement to clear another invisible barrier above the map. Otherwise, he's just stuck in there. What will happen is you'll wall cling, and you have to do a dodge roll jump. That's the only way to get over that invisible wall. Otherwise, you just get stuck.
Yes, and also speaking of going out of bounds, if I were to clip out right there, you would actually hard lock the game. It's the only hard lock that we know in the game. But once again, you're not actually supposed to clip that way, so that explains why it's there. So anyways, to explain how I got into this run as I head into this auto-scroller. September 5th is my birthday, and this game came out right after it. And I was planning on getting it, but it ended up coming out on Game Pass. Just so everybody knows, this game is available on all consoles, and even on Game Pass if you do want to try it out. I tried the game out, looked up a speedrunning community, and found out that we had a small thing going, and it just took off from there, and I ended up becoming the world record holder and met some incredible people in this community. That's pushed me to try many different games now, which now I hold about 4 world records in many different games of different genres, from kind of like Zelda-lights to platformers. Absolutely love it. I just died. I was not paying attention to what I was doing. I can't believe that just happened. That was a huge time loss. Wavuvi, if you want to go into how you got into speedrunning, I'm going to focus on what I'm doing. That was really bad.
Okay. So for me, the game I run is Door Kickers Action Squad. I've been running that game for about 2.5 years. I'm the big world record holder in that one, but this is about... We're going to try and focus on Flynn for now, just to comment on where I came in. I've been interested in speedrunning probably since the Game Boy Advance with Metroid Zero Mission. I think that was the first real attempt I ever did. And it just took a while to find a game I really liked, to push myself on it more than just casually seeing, oh, I wonder if I can do this. And for anybody who's casually tried some of the speedruns, some of the difficulty spikes or weird glitches can be very daunting at first. And it does take patience and practice to get good at these things. So going back to Flynn, I just recently started doing this game. I've only completed, I think, 3 runs, and my time is about 1:35 now, compared to Song's 3 minutes. So there's a lot of improvement I have to make, and it's just, I have to practice to get there. So anybody out there interested in speedrunning, just remember, it takes time to get good and put into it, but if you like what you're doing, you'll get there.
I really appreciate that sentiment, because that's 100% true. So this is a huge puzzle level. It requires the flame magic. We will be lighting up these torches to open up certain paths, and we're going to have a dark area coming up right here that you're supposed to light up the torches, but because I've gone through here plenty of times, you kind of just know where the ground is at. And we also have a huge skip coming up involving vines in the next room that I'm going to explain before we get there. So in this next room, we have a bunch of ladders that we have to mash up in certain rhythms to actually dodge vines. As you can see right there, it lets us get to these torches a lot quicker without needing to go around certain routes. Once again, another vine that we'll be skipping right there. We'll be lighting, I think, 6 torches and trying to get the perfect patterns on all ladders. So we don't open up or drop any vines that aren't supposed to be coming down yet, because there is vines that you need to keep closed until you get to certain parts. So going up that first ladder, if you're too slow, it'll open up this vine right here, which we are able to skip if you don't actually open it up. And then this leads us into another claunch skip, which you actually have to manipulate the cutscene. You're going to actually pause in the air right here in the cutscene. You're going to attack again, and then claunch. And then we're going to head this way, grab an icon, and we're going to continue down the path normally as our bar fills up. Usually if I wouldn't have messed up in the run, we would have had a full bar right here, and I would have been Crimson controlling through this area. But it's not that big of a deal because the other area that's coming up is just as long, so we can still save the time. But it would have been nice actually having the Crimson control, but like I said, not that huge of a deal.
The enemy he was talking about that he launched off of, that enemy's AI is to hit and run. So the reason that manipulation is important is if you let him get his... See, he just did it there as he passed by. He did one swipe and then jumped away. And you need him in the right position to make that claunch to get out of that zone.
And now we enter the most broken level in the entire run. This level used to be straightforward, and then Claunch was found, and then it completely broke this level. And so now we just have a bunch of skips requiring claunching and out-of-bounds manipulation and super claunching and enemy manipulation. So this actually ends up being one of the hardest levels in the run when it comes to doing some of the tricks. So hopefully I can actually get all of these off with no hiccups. So right here, I'm going to clip through the wall, and then I'm going to drop through, and I will appear into the next area, where I will ride Dex into the first enemy. I'm going to attack the first enemy until he dies, because he'll spawn these little bugs, and then I will hopefully super claunch, which just happened, off that bug during my iframes, because if you don't have your iframes while super claunching over spikes, it'll interrupt your super claunch every time, so you only have a brief window to get your super claunch off. So that was incredibly hard. You're on top of an already almost frame perfect trick while also trying to worry about your iframes, making it a very stressful trick. Then we come into here in this room, and we'll be leading this enemy over here, where we'll be freezing it into place, doing a regular claunch so we can get to this button in time. Using this area, we're going to manipulate the platform right there so we can actually get over much quicker and stay up here so we can get to the next button.
Yeah, baiting, if you don't bait that enemy over, you have to go all the way around on the low path and then back up over to that switch. It's a pretty big time loss if you mess that trick up.
It is a 25-second time loss at minimum. It is a crazy amount of time to lose if you don't get that skip. So right here in this area, I want to start explaining arena skip coming up. So the biggest skip we have in this game, which actually saves minutes, not seconds, but minutes, is a fight that you're technically supposed to do, but because of claunching, you can actually manipulate your way out of the arena, which saves, like I said, tons of time. The way to do it, though, is it's not just super claunching. You have to, it's not just claunching, I mean, you have to claunch and then actually wait for your character to lose momentum before you could actually clip through the side of the wall. I'm not sure why it works like that, but that's just kind of how it is set up. So if you want to take over right here and explain while I try to pull this off.
I wish I could explain the skip here. If you're lucky, that guy will charge you. Unfortunately, he did not.
First time.
Oh, first try. Nice.
That was incredible.
I have practiced that more than I'd like to admit, and had not been able to get it aside from one time I've done it so far. So that is way harder than he made it look.
Oh! No! No, that was so bad. I tried to save myself with Crimson control, but I couldn't get the wall jump in time. That's okay, though. I'm not too worried about breaking no world records. I'd rather just showcase the run.
At least pits just take a hit and send you back a little bit. Imagine if they killed you like the devs originally intended.
Yeah, the devs actually originated hard deaths into pits, and then they realized what testers were not having as much fun, dying and then resetting. They were like, okay, we'll just make it a soft death. So to explain this level real quick, we actually have a skip, once again, with Rosia. She's supposed to be the big bad right here. It's her last chance on stopping Flynn, but because of ice and uppercuts, we can super claunch off of her, and just skip the fight entirely. So she just gets left in the dust while her dad, I'm assuming, yells at her about letting me go. It is a funny moment that she's built up to be the big bad, and then you just kind of walk away from her. You move away.
It's also funny to mention regarding the Rosia fights, you can just bypass her that time, but the fight the first time you're intended to fight her in the snow, you can get out of the arena and try to do the same thing, but for some reason that load zone just sends you back to the front of the zone you were already in instead of letting you progress, so you have to beat her the first time. There is no skipping her.
That was bad. Yeah, it just keeps sending you straight back over and over again. It's an infinite loop until you defeat her. It's super weird. But that one, they didn't implement that. So kind of an oversight, but I really enjoy it because it just cracks me up. Because the next scene is just the last boss yelling at her, being like, "How incompetent can you be?" Blah blah blah. So right here, we're gonna have a clunch manipulation where we're actually going to hit a button that we're not supposed to be able to access unless we go all the way around. But once again, because of claunching, we can just kind of hop up, hit the button, and go down. The next area, we're going to have an introduction of new enemies that are actually unkillable unless you use fire magic. These guys right here, they're supposed to be tar blobs, I'm pretty sure. And they don't actually... You can't claunch off them. They're not registered as an actual enemy. They're kind of more of a hazard, I guess you would say. And for anybody who's ever played Wind Waker, we have a call out coming out from the devs to Wind Waker. You actually get a leaf that you use as like kind of like a parasail. So from this, what I like to call a baboon. It's technically a bird, but when I first saw it, I thought it was a baboon. And so for the longest time, I thought it was a baboon, and then I ended up getting on the GDQ hotfix show. And during the run, I was like, in this baboon, where my commentator was like, "You mean bird?" And I was like, "No, it's a baboon." And so now we call it the burboon. All right, so here's your Wind Waker callback right here. So here's your little leaf.
He was actually supposed to have gotten it from the mentioned bird boon in the previous screen, so you could have had that leaf already, but thankfully it just gives it to you when you transition into this screen.
Yeah, it's kind of like the game thinks that you're supposed to have it, so it just gives it to you, which is really nice because otherwise this area would be impossible. And now we have another auto-scroller right here. But the cool thing about this auto-scroller is recently, within the past, I think, week and a half, I found a skip in this area that allows you to push the screen forward, saving yourself quite a bit of time. But it requires a super claunch. There we go. So I can actually push the screen forward, and then right here coming up is going to be another area. I just got to wait for the laser. Okay, and it's right... There we go. Another little push forward. So that actually lets him shoot that green block a lot sooner than he's supposed to, allowing us to move forward. And we'll have one more chance at being able to push the screen forward. It's going to be coming up right after this little area. You'll do another uppercut and a wall jump off, and as long as you're out of the screen, it'll try to track Flynn, so it'll try to catch up to him. So right here... There we go. And that's all the times that you can actually push the screen forward, making this a lot faster and a little bit more bearable. Sadly, the other ones have ceilings above them, or I guess out of invisible walls on their ceiling, so you can't actually do that, but luckily enough right here, there's nothing above you, so as long as you have an enemy to super claunch off of, you can actually just push it forward and save yourself about a good 4 seconds. Yeah, there is a ton of strats.
Wondering about the odd delay when he completes the level at the statue. The statue actually takes like a full second to be interactable. So that's why sometimes you'll just see him standing there waiting before something happens.
So once again, we're just going to use gloves and just smack this boss down. I actually just play around right here, and then I just jump in the air before he gets back up, just so I can get my Crimson power back. And then I'll follow him in the air, I'll drop down with him, and then he should die right here. Perfect. Easy, quick fight. If you let him jump across the screen again, he'll do a quick laser, and then he'll land in the middle, and then he'll disappear off screen, summoning minions to fight for him. And it takes a long time for him to come back onto screen. It is a huge time waste, so you want to build up as much Crimson energy as possible to get your Crimson control off, so you can end up destroying him before he ends up leaving the screen.
This was the area on a normal playthrough that you would actually get the wall jump. So everything he's completed up to this point, if you saw how much he was wall jumping, imagine playing through those without that wall jump.
Yeah, that's new game for you. I do believe new game is harder overall, but not as fun. But it is harder overall. You have more cutscene skips that you have to worry about. A lot more strats. Oh wow, I didn't mean a long jump. I meant to jump roll. But okay, that's what I meant to do. So they're actually going to introduce invisible platforms in this level. They waited till the very last world to introduce invisible platforms. Those cheeky devs.
They're always in the same place at least, so if you want to speedrun this, just take the time to memorize it.
Yes, that's a good thing. They are always in the same area. So coming up, we're going to have this is actually the last world. This kind of becomes one of the hardest when it comes to not taking damage. You will see me using magic over pits, and the reason why I do that is because it gives you that pause in the air to correct your movement. So for marathon safe reasons, it's better to just do that so you don't have a risk of falling into the pits. You will see a lot of stalling in these last areas, as there is a lot of gaps, a lot of pitfalls, especially in this area right here. They have these worms that kind of come out of these tunnels, and you have to dodge them, and they come at the worst times ever. So getting certain intervals is really hard. Like right here, I will be right behind this worm, taking damage. And then I'm going to drop down, and there's going to be another worm that I'm going to take damage from. They're just always out and about when you're speedrunning. So it's good to always have a eye on your health in this area. Okay, so right here, we're going to use a manip with magic. It's called magic extension. If you use magic while you're in the air, it gives you a little bit of boost of height, allowing you to jump onto certain walls that you actually wouldn't be able to jump onto. So, once again, another strat that throwing out there last second. So this is really dangerous. I should heal, but I don't have time to heal because these guys throw these homing orbs at me. Okay, that was really good. That was really playing on the edge, though. I really should have healed.
I'm going to butt in for a second. What he was mentioning there, when he jumped up and went up that worm tunnel just before the door in the worm section, that's where the magic extension comes into play. If a normal jump is just pixels too short of making it to that wall, so you'd normally have to go take a longer path around. But if you time the magic extension right, you can get up on the wall and then just wall jump the rest of the way up. And the timing on it is actually pretty tight for that section, especially when you're dealing with the worms.
And then right here, technically you're supposed to use that block to get up here, but with our manipulation of aerial control and everything else, you can just use this block without actually pushing it and just complete this really quick. Really nice way to end the level. And then we have 2 buffer levels coming up. They added 2 just kind of random filler levels in between the last few ones. I'm not 100% sure why they did that, but I actually enjoy it just because it is a rest on your hands. As you can see with my inputs, you're using B and A everywhere you go. You are constantly dodge rolling. And then right here's a little pattern. You just do the little puzzle end of the level. We'll move on to this way. So this level actually has 2 exits. This is the level that we were talking about that you're unlocking right here. That if you were a glitch hunter and wanted to, you could break the game and allow us to completely skip 4 boss fights, go to the very end of the game, and just fight Z-Lock without doing anything. It would have the run, it would be amazing. But so far, no one's figured out any kind of aerial manipulation with Flynn to be able to get over to the trigger.
What he's referring to is the path he unlocked but did not go down.
Yes, sorry.
You'll be seeing that later.
Right here, I'm just collecting keys to unlock these doors coming up. This level is just a bunch of locked doors that you just kind of have to keep fighting enemies to unlock them. So like right here, this guy has a key which unlocks a door that's up top. Nice, I got the cancel in time. You'll see me jump off the hooks early because I'd rather jump on the walls to get up there, as it does save a little bit of time because the hooks are a lot slower. Also, it looks like you can jump off the hooks and get a pretty decent height, but they actually don't give you a lot of height when you jump off of them, so it is better to just go for the wall.
The hit detection for actually grabbing those hooks is frustratingly tiny too.
Yeah, it took me a lot of practice to be able to pinpoint the exact area where I was supposed to grab onto them. So right here, we actually have a manipulation that we have to lure another enemy. There's a wolf in this level that's pink, and it's aggressive. It'll actually follow you and even follow you up platforms. So this guy right here, even though they're invisible, he will still follow you up them. So you can actually lead him up here, claunch off, and then just skip this barrier, not needing to do anything. And then in this room, you want to equip fire because we have a mage right here. You'll light him on fire so he takes damage over time as he will teleport. That was a really good spawn. And you want to be able to stun him as fast as possible so he can't escape you. Otherwise, he would just teleport around that room and it becomes the worst fight ever. So just take him out as quick as possible. And we are now heading into the final boss. Oh, actually one of the final bosses. Yeah, it says teleport is random. It's all RNG based. Sometimes he'll appear like right there. Sometimes he'll appear on the opposite side of the room. And then sometimes he'll just teleport, and then he'll teleport again, and then again, and then again, and then finally attack you. Or he'll just teleport once and then attack you. It's just a frustrating enemy. Huge time waste.
That hook section he just did right before the gold door, it is actually really hard to do that quickly and precisely. Like I said, the detection on the hooks is very tiny, so you think, oh, I'll just grab the hook, and you'll just fall straight through it and miss.
Yeah, it is not a great feeling. Okay, so here we are. We are going to be fighting Imbra after this fight. So I'm going to kind of explain Imbra's fight because it's gone through many different transformations and strats. So we used to fight Imbra with just gloves. And we would just beat up Imbra like we did every boss and then just pray that we got a really good fight. And then it kind of evolved into we would fight Imbra with our gloves and then transform into Crimson Control and pray we could stay on the platform while fighting Imbra. And that was kind of hard. And then now it's transformed where we use the gloves, then we use sword, and we also mix in magic. So we always get a two-phase Imbra fight. So it's evolved from being a very basic punch fight to a semi-basic fight to a very complicated weapon-switching, magic-using fight. But it allows us to get a much faster fight on Imbra, which is going to be this level right here. So if you want to go into any more depth into this, you are more than welcome to, because I'm going to focus very hard on getting a good fight.
Yeah, this boss is super frustrating for the way she moves. She wastes a lot of time. Casually, it's not even that difficult to learn her pattern. It's just you spend so much time waiting to be able to hit her. This sword pattern he's doing to hit her and build up his Crimson is actually very difficult to do.
Nice.
But yeah, she didn't even get to go into another phase. That was probably the fastest you can get that fight done right there.
Oh my goodness.
That was an amazing Imbra fight. If she had gone a little bit longer, she would have transitioned to a phase where she flies along the bottom and shoots a laser at you, but she would have had just small enough health left that he could have
jumped off and hit her and
just
killed her.
jumped down and finished her off, yeah.
But if you do miss, then you fall off the screen, and then she goes into her next phase where she turns into 4 different versions of herself, and you waste a lot of time on that fight. So you just want to make sure you always get a second phase on her. So what we're doing right here is another kind of auto-scroller. You just kind of collect gems in this level, but what's nice about it is that while you're doing this, your Crimson bar is refilling. So when you enter the very final level, you'll have Crimson Control, so you can just speed straight to the boss's throne and then fight the final boss. And because we're not going for world record, I'm actually going to try a strat on the boss that I don't normally do to see if I can get 2 bosses to spawn. There's a glitch that you can get 2 of them to spawn at the same time. It's kind of cool, but we'll see if we can do it. Okay, here we go. Alright, this is the final boss. We are almost to time.
If anybody picks this game up casually, fun thing to note, there are a bunch of ghosts of Flynn's mother and father hidden around several of the levels. So if you want to go for an Easter egg hunt, that's a nice diversion for the game.
So to explain this fight, he will actually summon all the bosses that you've already fought. You're supposed to kill them to get these crimson emblems. Oh, that was really bad. So you can hurry up and fight these bosses, get the crimson emblems, and have a full crimson bar, so you can fight him and deal lots of damage.
And as typical for these kinds of bosses, this isn't even his final form.
Yeah, this isn't even my final form. Yes, 100%. He has one more after this. It's actually my least favorite boss fight. I'm not a huge fan of the mechanics of it. Never have been, but still a good fight nonetheless. Whoop. Okay, so we are almost on him. Hopefully I can get this trick off. We're gonna see. I got it. There we go. So.
Oh, I thought you were going to be one tick off. That was nice.
So now you can spawn. I have 3 enemies on the screen while going into the cutscene. That's not supposed to happen. But yeah, we got it. We got the glitch. I love that. It is just a fun thing to do.
Permanent smile on my face. Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. Okay, so this is the final boss, his actual final phase. This boss actually forms one of the coolest glitches we found, in my opinion. If you dodge roll while in Crimson form and attack, you will actually float in the air, allowing you to just kind of stay there and beat up on enemies. It is such a fun little trick. So like right here, as you can see, I'm just kind of floating.
The thing that makes this boss so frustrating is he has several moments where you just can't hit him.
Like right here, you cannot hit him right here. And we're almost at time, as long as I get this right. Oh, nope, I fell off. That was really bad. That's really bad. That's really, really bad. That's okay. We're still good. And time. Time. I thought I got him down, but he literally escaped with 1 HP. That sneaky guy. All right, we did not well, but still great, definitely for a very hard to explain run. We have a lot of strats in this run, and it goes by so quick that trying to explain everything right after another is very hard. So I do appreciate everyone's patience and us trying to accumulate a bunch of information at you guys all at one time while also trying to make it digestible. Because everything is really in detail on what we do, it is really hard to sum down. So once again, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the support. I want to give a shout out to the Flynn community. I really appreciate you guys. And the devs. Thunderhorse is absolutely amazing. They have been nothing but the biggest help to the speedrunning community. They're constantly active with us. They constantly talk to us. They are the coolest people ever. If you guys want to join, we actually have a speedrun page. It's speedrun.com/FSOC. It has our Discord link on there. It has the auto splitter, guides, everything else on there if you guys want to get into it. I highly recommend it. And if you guys have any questions, you are more than welcome to hit me up. I also have a guide on YouTube for the game. So anything you guys need, just, yeah, come on into the Discord. We're more than welcome to have you there. But yeah, Wavi, if you have anything that you want to say.
No, he pretty much covered it. Follow Song on Twitch if you want to catch him doing Flynn or some of the other speedruns he's working on now.
Actually, this is my retirement from Flynn, actually. That was my retirement run. I am no longer running Flynn after today. I am really happy with the times I've gotten. A 103 is perfect. I don't have any competition right now. So once new players do join, I may get back into it. But for now, I'm moving on to other things, and hopefully someone else can come take the title. So you all have a great one, and I appreciate you all for being here. And with that, Buns, you are more than welcome to take over.
Thank you very much. I will single-handedly take you out of retirement. No. What a fantastic run. Thank you for showcasing this to us all. That's another one that's going on the Steam wishlist, of course. And we'll be moving along to The Binding of Isaac Repentance. Big one for sure. So the bangers keep on coming. And of course, this means that this is your last chance to get on to the bid war between Season 1 and Season 2. So if you have any money left over, Season 2's got a little bit of catching up to do, but I believe in you all if you are out there.